Welcome to part 2 of the oldest surviving buildings in Gateshead, right here on 55 degrees north. In part 1 we uncovered medieval chapels, ancient parish churches and an iconic Victorian pub. Now in part 2 we'll explore even more of Gateshead's historic gems, from grand Victorian terraces and a 19th century dispensary and the old town hall where the borough history was written. Let's step back in time and walk the streets of Gateshead's history. On Nelson Street, tucked between modern buildings, stands a modest two-storey brick building. No spire, no grand doorway. You could easily walk past without noticing it. But in the 1800s, this place was a front line in Gateshead's battle against disease. This is the Gateshead Dispensary. It started life as a comfortable Georgian villa, the sort of home built for well-off merchant or professional. But in 1832, a deadly cholera epidemic swept through the northeast. It struck fast, killing within hours, and it tore through the crowded housing near the river. With hospitals scarce and private doctors out of reach of most people, local leaders took drastic action. They purchased this house and turned it into a public dispensary, a charitable medical centre for the poor. Inside there were consultant rooms, space for minor surgical procedures, a dispensary for mixing and storing medicines. Imagine the constant shuffle of boots across the wooden floors, the smell of carbolic soap, the click of glass bottles as remedies were prepared. For many of this was the only place they could get treatment without risking bankruptcy. The dispensary wasn't just for cholera. Over the decades, it became a bulwark against scarlet fever, typhoid and tuberculosis, diseases that thrived in the cramped and unsanitary conditions of the industrial town. During the 1885 cholera outbreak, records show the dispensary treated hundreds of patients, often working late into the night. Doctors and volunteers here saved countless lives, though many also put themselves at great personal risk. It stayed in service until 1946, when the creation of the NHS meant free healthcare for everyone. After that, the building became home to the Borough Council Housing Department, a far quieter life than its first century. Today, it's a Grade 2 listed building. The brickwork, the sash windows and stone trim echo its Georgian origins, and a small plaque tells passers-by its story. But unless you stop and look, you'd never guess the role of this little building played in keeping Gateshead alive. From the modest brickwork of the dispensary, we step into a very different side of Victorian Gateshead, one built on prosperity, ambition and style. This is Walker Terrace. Completed in 1847, Walker Terrace was designed for the well-to-do, the kind of people whose names appeared in the local paper, who employed servants and who could afford to be choosy about where they lived. In the mid-19th century, Gateshead was booming. Coal, iron, chemicals. The industrial time was powering the economy, and the growing professional class wanted homes that reflected their success. Walker Terrace gave them just that. Redefined architecture, a central location and a sense of order and elegance. Each townhouse was carefully proportioned, 2 stories with brick walls and ashlar stone dressings. Look closely and you'll see the string course running between floors, the neat sash windows perfectly lined, and the continuous stone cornice that ties the terrace together like a ribbon. Life here was quiet compared to the cramped courts and alleys closer to the town. Residents included solicitors, merchants, newspaper editors and doctors. The street itself was tree-lined, a genteel space just steps from the heart of the town. Inside, these were comfortable family homes, high-ceilinged parlours for entertaining, dining rooms with marble fireplaces, kitchens in the basement and in some cases a servant's attic bedroom at the top. Gas lighting would have been fitted by the 1850s and coal fires kept every room warm, though the smoke from the river industries was never far away. But as the decades passed, Gateshead changed. Many similar terraces across the centre were demolished in the 20th century as redevelopment swept through. Walker Terrace, however, survived, adapting to new use. By the mid-1900s, some houses were converted into council offices, while others became flats. Today, Walker Terrace is a rare survivor, still facing what's now Gateshead Metro Station, still in use and still carrying the same elegant lines it had for over 175 years. A quiet reminder that Gateshead once built not just for industry but for beauty. At the bottom of West Street stands one of Gateshead's grandest public buildings, the Old Town Hall. For over a century, this was the beating heart of civic life, the place where the town governed itself, dispensed justice and celebrated its biggest moments. When the borough of Gateshead was formed in 1835, the council didn't even have its own headquarters. Meetings were held in rented rooms above a stable. Not exactly the image of modern governance. By the 1860s, Gateshead was an industrial powerhouse and its leaders wanted the building to match their ambition. The foundation stone was laid in 1868, but the ceremony was marred by tragedy when a crowd viewing platform collapsed, killing a young woman and injuring many others. Even so, work pressed on, and by 1870 the new town hall opened its doors. Designed by John Johnson, the building was pure elegance. Sandstone walls, arched windows and a symmetrical facade crowned with a carved pediment. The centrepiece, an ornate clock tower in the forecourt, its hands ticking over West Street for more than 150 years. Inside, the ground floor held public offices and the magistrates' court. The basement contained police cells where suspects waited to face justice upstairs. On the first floor, the council chamber was the pride of the building, high-ceilinged, panelled in wood, with rows of seats where councillors debated the future of the town. It was here laws were passed, elections counted, and visiting dignitaries received. In 1954, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip visited during a royal tour, signing the visitors' book in a moment of local pride. But by the 1980s, the old hall was no longer big enough for a modern council. The borough moved to the new civic centre, and the future of the building hung in the balance. Demolition was a real possibility, but instead, the town hall reinvented itself. Over the years, it's been home to a technology institute and an arts venue, even a temporary cinema, while Newcastle's Tyneside Cinema was refurbished. Today, the Old Town Hall is a Grade 2 listed building, with plans to turn it into a hub for culture, creativity and performance. Its clock still keeps time, and though the councillors are gone, the spirit of civic pride remains. When you stand here looking up at its arches and tower, you're not just seeing a Victorian landmark, you're looking at a place where Gateshead's modern day story was shaped. That's it for part 2 of our journey through the oldest surviving buildings in Gateshead, from elegant Victorian terraces to life-saving dispensaries and the halls of civic power. Each one tells a chapter of the town's incredible story. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you never miss the next episode. A massive thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, right here on 55 Degrees North.